Milwaukee Public Television is proud to present Next Avenue Community Conversations. Next Avenue brings baby boomers and beyond smart, useful information and compelling perspectives. Our goal is simple: to provide provocative information that makes your life more meaningful and enjoyable. This program is made possible in part by funding from our good friends at the Helen Bader Foundation. On this episode, a fascinating conversation and demonstration about how horses can be used in therapy. The benefit: physical and emotional healing in young and old alike. We are coming to you from the LifeStriders Therapeutic Riding Center in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Now here's your host, Mark Siegrist.
And it's great to be with you here this evening. Thank you for joining us. You know, therapeutic horse riding is a pretty fascinating discipline. We're going to be learning a lot more about it here in the next hour, as baby boomers and young folks are discovering the relationship between the horse and its rider can be very powerful, if not magical and therapeutic. During the next hour, I'll be learning all about the benefits of equine movement, how this unique form of caregiving can help address a variety of human challenges, ranging from physical to emotional, even cognitive. It's what the LifeStriders Therapeutic Riding Program here in Waukesha is really all about. And I'm joined by a special group of folks who are deeply involved in that mission. First of all, we're joined this evening by Veronica Sosa. Veronica is the co-founder of LifeStriders. This fine organization has been reaching out since 2004 and she also serves as the organization's executive director. Veronica, you bring two great disciplines. First of all, in terms of equine movement and your background as a psychologist, you bring a lot of discipline here to the table, and we're looking forward to you helping us better understand what the art of therapeutic riding is all about. We're also joined by Heather Antoniewicz. Heather is a marvelous lady, and she's not only benefiting from the program here, but she's also reaching out and helping others who are new to the program as well. Heather is a U.S. Navy veteran and a LifeStriders client. We're looking forward to learning more about Heather's riding experience and how she's passing on her knowledge about this therapy to others who are new to the program. And we're also joined by Dave Peterson. He is a LifeStriders volunteer. He's what's known as a sidewalker, right? Mm-hmm. So you assist folks when they're on the trail or they're inside here and they're going through their walk and their therapy, and you're a vital member of the greater team that walks alongside the horses during therapy. How about a round of applause for our panel? These are some wonderful folks. Okay, now I want to know more about how did the art of and the discipline of therapeutic riding evolve? I mean, what are the origins? When did it first become appreciated for what it is?
Well, I mean, there's definitely been a relationship between horses and humans since the beginning of time. And we know that even in ancient Greece, they were using horses to treat depression and to treat people who were ill. And people understood that there was something about the movement and the connection with the horse that was very, very powerful, even before we had the science to really understand how it is and why it's so effective. And what we know now is that the human brain is stimulated by not only movement, but the power of learning to walk and have a normal developing gait over our lifetime. And what happens is that people with different types of developmental disabilities or acquired disabilities, from traumatic brain injury to stroke or old age, their gait starts to change if they've acquired something, or if they're becoming older and they're afraid of falling, for example, they start to look down and they take shorter steps. And when that begins to happen, we start to see cognitive decline. We start to see verbal memory decrease. We start to see just a number of sequelas from the lack of movement and really being able to ambulate or walk the way that we did our entire lives.
And I'm fascinated by the fact that that connection through the rhythm of the gait, when someone is on horseback and connecting so well with the horse, the rhythm of the gait, the repetitive nature of the gait and the walk connects in so many different ways. I mean, the fact that it touches the person's emotional state of being as well as physical, it's such a broad connection.
Right, and we try to expand on that connection here at LifeStriders by not just doing the physical stimulation with the walking of the horse or the trotting of the horse. And then we're on top of that adding elements of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language, or cognitive behavioral therapy, so more traditional kind of psychological approaches to whatever work we're doing. But then we're also connecting our riders with nature, we're connecting our riders with this amazing animal that they really start to bond with and have this amazing relationship with. And then of course with our volunteers who come out week after week. So it becomes a very integrative experience for them.
And intergenerational.
And very intergenerational. One of the things that we really strive to promote here is the importance of passing on our knowledge and really having full circle experiences. We have riders that are as young as 2 years old and riders who are 76 years old, or we've had an 83-year-old rider. And a lot of our volunteers that come are people who have these amazing life experiences and so much to offer, and we give them an opportunity to be mentors of sorts to some of our at-risk youth or some of our participants that come through LifeStriders.
And we're going to have a couple demonstrations here so we can appreciate firsthand how this happens. But Heather, I'm fascinated by your story. First of all, you've served in two theaters, Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yes, that's correct.
And after your service, you wanted to reach out and benefit from some program to address some of your post-experience stress level. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And how did you find this particular program, and what drew you to therapeutic riding?
I heard about the program through an organization that I worked for, and I came out here and just really took in the process and got more information, and then I eventually just started bringing other veterans out here along with me, and we started riding, and it's made a huge change in my life.
To what degree were you familiar with horseback riding to begin with? Even before
I hadn't ridden a horse since I was about 10 years old. I was actually scared of them when I first started riding them.
How has it changed you?
I'm more self-confident. I've learned to trust again with my reintegration back into civilian life. It was really hard for me to trust anybody. I've gotten more movement. It's been an all-around head-to-toe therapy for me.
When did you first notice that change, when you were riding horse on more regular basis and benefiting from the program here? When did you just start to notice, hey, this is making me relax, this is changing me a bit, I'm feeling more grounded again?
It was probably a few months into it. I was riding the horse that I usually ride, and we were working on focusing on the different walls and just to use our focus to lead the horse to where we wanted to go rather than trying to direct it with our hands, just focusing. And at that moment, it just clicked on me. It's like, I've never been this calm. I've never been able to focus like this.
What were you visualizing when you suddenly had that clarity and that peace of mind?
There's a lot of things, like how I struggled through school and how this would have helped me if I had started it earlier with concentrated in school. And
what is it about the riding experience that just is so relaxing? What is it?
Just I feel free. I feel like I become one with the horse. I am able to really feel what the horse is feeling. I've been riding here for 2 years now, and if my horse's gait is off a little bit, or if he's sore somewhere, I can tell if he has one foot up, like he's relaxing or something. I've been able to pick up all those.
To what degree are you helping the horse as much? Well, first of all, you have a favorite horse here that you ride on a regular basis.
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
That's Little Elliot.
Well, why is he so special?
He's been my horse since the beginning.
You guys just connect?
Yes, we did. We connected, and very strongly.
Yeah.
They definitely match you up with a horse that they feel you'll connect with.
Now, you have also benefited physically from the riding experience. I understand that. I mean, you had a lifting episode during your service that really threw your back out of whack, right?
Yes.
So yeah, tell me about that.
I had a 300-pound external fuel tank rollover on me and screwed up my back really bad, which I've had surgery for. And before I started here, it was keeping me from moving around, and I'm a fairly active person. Yeah. But I've been able to get back into a lot of the things that I like doing.
But routine riding is really assisting you in that effort too with your back. Good for you. Good for you. Dave, how did you get involved in volunteerism here at LifeStriders?
Let me first say that I don't have the compelling stories that Veronica and Heather have, but I retired, and me wanting to volunteer was a part of my retirement plan. And I live in the area. I would pass this facility for many years without really knowing what it was. And I went on their website and watched the video of Veronica explaining what the horse therapy was about, and made a call over here, came over for a tour, and then started to volunteer. And it's just something I look forward to every week.
And what does the sidewalker do? How does the sidewalker assist the therapist?
Sidewalker is, if you can imagine the horse and the rider, the sidewalker is on each side of the rider, grasping onto the saddle and then holding the rider's leg under here. So it stabilizes them on the horse. Then you interact with the rider while you're listening to the instructor give instructions. What we do is maybe exercises or a lesson. And so you're listening to and reinforcing what the instructor is telling the rider to do. And it's just, you bond with the horse. I've learned a lot about horses. I'm not a horse person, but now I know a lot more than I did when I started here. And probably the best thing for me is the relationship I have with the riders. I bond with them. They trust me. I trust them. We laugh. It's just a great time, and I get a lot out of this program. It's therapeutic for me to see what happens to them. So I feel like I've made a difference when I leave here every week.
And you had a long career in the insurance industry.
Right.
And you're a structure guy. You even though you're in retirement, you want some structure. And this has helped you in your own transition as a volunteer, right?
Yeah, I needed a schedule for myself. I take some courses at WCTC. I do exercise and yoga. And this is one of the volunteering jobs that I do, but kind of rounds me out for this stage of my life. Like, what are you going to do now? So it's all very important, kind of a mixture of all those things.
See, I think it's really neat about your program that it touches everyone involved. I mean, it's not just we're helping this group of folks, but everyone is benefiting. Now, we're coming up on a demonstration, right, Veronica?
Correct.
What are we going to see?
So today we are going to be working with an adult rider. Her name is Carol, and the horse that she's going to be using today is Elliot.
And maybe they can start joining us now.
Yeah.
There we go.
And Nettie Seidel, who's our instructor, she is a certified therapeutic riding instructor and has been with us here at LifeStriders since 2005. And Carol is our rider there in the blue helmet. Elliot is our beautiful thoroughbred therapy horse. We have Linda Campbell as one of the sidewalkers, and Myrna, who's on the other side. You can't really see her. There she is.
All right.
And Diane Phelps is leading Elliot today. So today we're going to just show a very brief excerpt of what we usually do in a therapeutic riding lesson, which typically lasts. The actual riding piece of a weekly session is about 40 to 45 minutes long.
Okay.
And we usually start every therapy session with a warm-up. At the heart of our warm-up, we are doing stretching and balance exercises. You can see Carol there is not using her hands to hold on, so she really has to use her core and her internal sense of balance and spatial awareness to really keep herself centered on that saddle.
And she is trying to be in rhythm with the horse's gait at this point.
Right there we're using, she just stretched down towards her legs, and what we're doing is trying to make these exercises for real world applications, like tying your shoe. You have to reach down. You have to reach down to be able to bathe yourself or pick something up. Another thing that we usually do is we get the riders' feet out of the stirrups, and we really try and work on their hip and leg muscles to strengthen any weakness that they may have. And also, the primary reason we do this is to help prevent stumbling or falling, really keeping those legs strong and healthy. In every one of our therapy sessions, we include weights in addition to balance and core work. And really a strength training routine is very, very important, even in the older years, just to keep our bones strong, to help, again, just keep our muscles as toned as possible.
Sure. And I noticed that the sidewalkers are calming the horse down and congratulating the horse for doing a good job, and as much as giving support to the rider.
Right. Here you can see Carol, she's alternating the weights and the leg lifts. Again, these leg lifts are so important for transitioning, for example, in and out of a car, or getting in and out of a bathtub, or lifting yourself out of a chair. So you can see the amount of balance and core movement that she has to do to keep herself centered in that saddle. It's really, really impressive. And our amazing volunteers are there not just to help the instructor assisting the rider, but also to make sure that she's safe. So right now this is actually a memory exercise where we give the rider a sequence. So in this case, it's shoulders sky, shoulders thigh, or shoulders back. And we're really trying to get the body into all quadrants here, really stimulating both hemispheres of the brain. And she has to remember a routine. So that sequencing is actually a memory building exercise, and we add more and more to it in the course of the lesson. So they have to build on their short-term memory.
And for what patients with what specific needs would this be designed for? I mean, for example, would the folks who are undergoing the challenge of Alzheimer's, would this be helpful to them in terms of memory loss?
Absolutely. I mean, we work with a lot of our older adult population are people who are starting to show early signs of dementia or already have progressed a form of Alzheimer's disease. We also have traumatic brain injury, stroke, patients who've survived strokes, any kind of physical, cognitive, emotional disability,
and once again,
really.
The rhythm of the ride serves as a stimulant for retaining information in a repetitive manner.
I mean, if you can imagine these exercises that she was just doing, they're very similar to what you might be doing in an occupational therapist's office or in a physical therapist's office. But on top of the exercise, she's getting that stimulation and that core stimulation that you can only get from riding a horse.
And how quickly do you see your clients improving in this regard?
It's incredible, actually. Yeah, we see them sometimes. It depends on the case, but they become very lucid. We see a lot of clients who have memory loss issues, who when they come out to ride, suddenly they recall things of their childhood, and they recall people of their childhood that they really haven't, they had no memory. So oftentimes we invite their families to come out and sidewalk so that they can experience that with their family member.
What's it like for the families to see
It's incredible for them. It's incredibly meaningful. Here you can see Carol, she's balancing two slightly weighted balls. Again, this is to enhance posture. We work a lot on exercises that help to prevent spinal degeneration and really improving that posture. There's a very slight, we kind of missed it in our conversation, but as soon as she did that and she opened that chest and that torso, you just saw this improvement in her posture. You know, and this is a very fun exercise. One of the things we're not really seeing today is all the fun jokes and the interactions that happen when they ride. You know, they have relationships with not only the horse, but with their sidewalkers.
Yeah.
So everything at LifeStriders is based on a relationship model.
Yes.
You have to have a relationship with the horse. You have to have a relationship with your volunteers, with your instructor, with your sidewalker. Here, Carol is now offline. We try to do a lot with independence. So as riders progress into that phase, we give them the opportunities to be independent riders. And here, what she's doing, she's parking her horse and she's looking both ways. We specifically want to make sure that she's connected with her horse. And then there's a slight hip tilt that she has to do to get that horse to move back. Good. And you can see that this obviously takes a lot of concentration and effort. You know, she's now built a relationship with that horse. In order to get him to do these different patterns, she has had to be working on this relationship progressively week after week.
The rider trusts the animal and the animal trusts the rider, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, that exercise that you just saw where she had to move the horse back, that's a really important thing in teaching older adults how to move their bodies in space and how to position their bodies, that spatial awareness, that motor planning to move in different directions. You know, where basically what we're really trying to target with our older adults is fall prevention. Believe it or not, that's what we're really trying to do, and keep those social connections, those healthy lifestyle habits, getting them out into nature in a way that's very accessible for them. Most of the time, most of our therapeutic riding sessions are done outdoors. We just use the arena in the evenings or when the weather doesn't permit us to ride outside.
How rigorous was your training process when you were training? It was like about a month?
Yeah, I think my recollection initially was you just observe other people sidewalking and maybe walk behind them and see them interact with the rider and with the instructor. And then you may take over for that sidewalker that first lesson. But you're always you have somebody who is monitoring you, and there's a checklist you need to go through to accomplish certain objectives. You get different colored name badges that have you rising up through the area of responsibility here. And then there's a Saturday morning session where you see the video, Veronica's video of explaining just what we're talking about here. And then there's in the arena, we come back out, we practice dismounting, emergency dismounts off the horse with the rider. It doesn't happen very often. It's happened, I've seen it once since I've been here, but it's important to know that and how to do it, and that's something you learn too. And then just, you know, you just feel more comfortable. I'm much more comfortable now with the horses, with the riders, with the instructors, and the rest of the volunteers because I've come here. So you develop that yourself over your commitment to coming here once a week, twice a week, whatever it is. And
so
they'll
you're
take
walking
whatever.
as a team on the trail or in here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making eye contact with the rest of the team and with the client. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, you're all in communication.
And you're talking, you're communicating all the time. The three, the leader and the two sidewalkers and the rider are talking, you know, communicating.
And Heather, explain to me, when you were first got involved with LifeStriders and you were explaining, you know, I got some anxiety I'm going through and my back is still hurting me, you know, from my lifting experience during the service. How did they come up with a tailor-made program for your ride? Because you were reaching out for a couple of different issues, but how do they adjust the therapy and the rides and everything involved in it to address your specific need? Because every client is different.
Yeah, they just worked with me, and they asked me if that works or if it was uncomfortable. I just told them, and they wouldn't make me do it. But eventually, you know, I just work up to the different levels, and it was rewarding when I reached different levels, and just they've helped me through a lot of my mental disabilities and my physical disabilities.
Yeah.
So
some of the same balancing things that we were watching Carol perform for us, you were doing some of that.
Yes, I was doing a lot of that.
You know, the letting go of the reins and then holding her arms up in the air. And I mean, there's a certain amount of trust that this is going to work out and we're not going to fall. What was it like just letting go for the first time?
It was scary. And then after a few lessons of doing that, they had me actually let go of the horse and close my eyes.
For part of the ride?
For part of the ride.
What was that like?
Very, very scary, but it taught me that I can trust the horse, and, you know, he listens to me.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about that too, because you have two different levels going on here. You're feeling confident about yourself, and you're also working as a team with the horse, and you're communicating with the horse. When did you begin to feel that you were making that connection with the horse?
It took me a little bit longer because of the reintegration and the trust issues I did have. I think it took me longer than most people. It took me probably a good 6 to 8 months to be able to trust them like I should have. Just because of stuff that's happened in my past, you know, you have to work up that trust.
Do you remember when we were talking about, you know, that moment of clarity and when you were starting to feel good again? But do you remember the first time you really started to trust someone after you were involved in the program? Maybe a moment or an exchange with someone. It might have even been someone like Dave during the ride itself when, oh yeah, I feel comfortable saying that, or yeah, I do believe you?
Well,
when did that occur?
it was a big change was learning to trust the people closest to me, which was my family. And I think that was the biggest change because I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't trust my family. I couldn't trust my neighbors. I couldn't trust my friends.
Right.
And I have more trust now in a lot of my family members and my friends, and just I'm building more relationships. I have more friends. I'm not mad all the time. I'm not angry.
And connecting during the ride helped get you to that level.
Yes.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. Yeah, and we were talking about this before, how animals just seem to have that sense when someone's hurting, don't they?
And one of the amazing things, I think, as LifeStriders has evolved over the years, you know, we are so honored to be able to serve our veterans. And there are so many vets that come here who are struggling with PTSD and the very real issues of reintegration disorder that so many families face when a loved one is coming back from being having been deployed. And again, you know, kind of going back to Heather's case, just seeing how it starts with that relationship with the horse, but it expands, and that circle starts to expand little by little. Maybe it's communicating clearly and learning how to express your needs with your team of volunteers and your instructor, and it just, week after week, in a very calm and relaxed way, it just, that magic starts to happen in a very real way for people. And we've just seen so many people impacted by it. It truly is an honor to be able to do this work and to help and to give back to servicemen and women who've done so much for us.
Absolutely. Now, as a therapist, how do you note the progression of a given client when you're looking at how the therapy session in general is going, how the balancing is going, how the confidence is building? There's so much going on during the rides themselves. How do you keep track of all of that, and how do you note the progression of the client? Well,
all of our therapeutic riding instructors are PATH certified. So that's the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. We, in addition to that certification, we cross-train all of our therapists. So we all are using, we know how to use elements of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language, or cognitive behavior therapy, and really kind of fine-tune it at the drop of a dime based on our clients' needs. So a therapist has to be somewhat flexible in this regard. Yeah, and they're very well trained in all of these different areas because, you know, a lot of people will come to LifeStriders with a physical disability, but their physical handicap may have actually caused depression or anxiety or anger issues or just a plethora of other secondary effects, psychological effects, which are very, very real for them. And we need to be able to work past that with them to be able to deliver the therapies that we need. Yeah, when there are multiple factors conflicting, when someone is dealing with anxiety and depression at the same time, I mean, it's a powerful punch. Exactly. It takes patience on the part of the therapist and on the part of the person who's receiving that therapy. But the thing about therapeutic riding is just that it goes back to nature. And there's something very real and grounding about just getting back to basics and figuring out whatever it is that you need to do to make that horse do what you want it to do or what you're working on together. And it's really about forming that partnership with that horse, and that's part of the healing process. And some of it's just common sense, and I think that makes a lot of sense to people, and that's very reassuring to them, and it kind of opens them up to other possibilities and other challenges. Yeah, it's like, in essence, we're rebooting ourselves, aren't we? Exactly. We really are. I mean, you are serving so many clients as a volunteer. I mean, and I'm sure you have a lot of stories to share, but just give us a little peek here. On a typical ride, what kinds of transitions are you making note of among your clients?
I think, you know, one of the things that I like about is kids like to laugh. The kids that I deal with, it's fun to have fun, as Veronica said. And so it takes me putting on bunny ears, I'll do it. You know, if it takes me balancing a Frisbee, like while they're balancing a Frisbee, I'll do it. It's just, you know, you just see joy in other people's eyes, especially children, for me. like I said, it makes me feel like I'm making a difference. So I leave here saying, well, we had a really good session. You know what? Sometimes we don't have good sessions, and I feel bad about that, but we always look forward to the next one. I see the parents watching their kids, smiling, taking pictures. I talk to the parents afterwards. That's just it's a great interaction.
Well, what's it like for the mom and dad and siblings observing from afar and seeing a family member for the first time in a while maybe really enjoying themselves?
Yeah, I can see that in their eyes. Again, their child is above everybody else on the horse, all these people around him, having a good time, enjoying him or herself. And I see the parents smiling and, like I say, taking pictures and waving, and it's just, it's a great feeling. And again, you get to know the horses, the other volunteers you're working with, and the riders and the families.
Yeah.
Without really knowing the history. I don't know the history of any of these riders, but I know what I know about them from being with them.
And Heather, you're smiling because this is working for you, isn't it?
Yes,
it's working
it is.
for you.
Yes.
And it's important for your family to see you smiling and to see you enjoying yourself and progressing. I had the pleasure of seeing you walking here with your son a few moments ago, and he's seeing you just enjoying life.
Yes. Yes, it's made me a better parent. And
what has he told you about you riding horse on a regular basis? What has his comment and encouragement been from Mom?
Well, he keeps bugging me that he wants to start, but I'm more active now than I was. I've been riding for 2 years, so before that I'd sleep in. I'd sleep all day if I could.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get out of bed. Now I'm more active with him. I'm out doing martial arts with him, which I wasn't doing before. I'm out riding bikes with him. So it's brought that freedom that I was looking for, to be able to be active again.
But now that you have found your outlet, you know, now that you've found your way to just stay grounded, how important is it to stick with the program and to keep riding, you know, and to maybe there's a given day where it's raining outside or you don't feel like doing it, but I mean, how do you discipline yourself to stick with something that's really working for you?
I've found that if the few times that I have stopped due to different circumstances, I've fallen back into that depression, and it's sticking with it has kept me out of the depression, has helped me stay focused in my life outside of LifeStriders, helped me stay focused on my passion, which is helping veterans.
Yeah.
And just, I notice a difference if I don't go.
What are you telling your fellow vets about getting involved in something like this? I know that the grapevine is very strong in the veteran community.
Yes.
And veterans tend to be pretty direct with one another.
Yes.
What are you telling them about finding an outlet like this and just, you know, opening your eyes and enjoying life?
Yeah, I tell them if it's, you know, if I've run into quite a few that I thought would work really good with this program, and they're just like, I'm scared of horses, and I'm like, well, you'll never know if you don't try it. So I push them to try everything at least once. If it's not horseback riding, then find something that is, something that other than just sitting around at home, and just get out there.
We're going to benefit from another demonstration, and let me tell you before we go to that, when we're finished with the next demonstration, I'd love to have you folks get involved with the panel and engage them yourselves and share your questions and your comments with them. So start thinking along those lines if you would. I want to take advantage of your presence here. This is a good group. It's a good group of folks that came out here to see your program. And a lot of them are deeply involved in the program themselves. What demonstration are we going to see next, Veronica?
So our next demonstration, again, we're going to have the same group of volunteers, and our volunteer therapeutic riding instructor, Nettie's coming out now, and this time we're going to be using our beloved Icelandic gelding. His name is Almar, and he is going to be working together with Abby today. And Abby has been riding here for about 1.5 years. And again, like I said before, every single one of our sessions starts with a warm-up.
Yes.
And it's not just to warm the body up, but it's really, that's kind of at the core of a lot of the therapeutic exercises that we're doing. We include games and fun activities and trail rides as part of it as well, but the warm-up piece is actually where we're doing a lot of that crossing the midline movement. And you can see right here, she's doing a 2-point she's not using stirrups, which actually requires an amazing seat and balance. She is getting her front and, her arms into her front and back quadrants there. And you can also see just how attentive she is to her instructor. And she has to be really cueing into those auditory cues and following auditory directions here. So that's going to be really important. In addition to the stretching and really, again, getting back into those quadrants, we're focusing on balance. Once again, she's not using a saddle, which actually enhances the warmth of the horse's body, actually helps to penetrate through those pads that we use, and it actually helps to increase mobility in the lower limbs, so in the hips and the legs.
That's a thick blanket.
Yeah, it is, but the horse's body actually generates a lot of heat, and that is very curative for a lot of our clients, especially clients with, who have too much tone in their bodies. So Abby is going to be, in addition to working on balance here, we're doing motor planning, and this is called an Around the World. So she's actually going to be riding backwards. Again, she doesn't have stirrups. She's really working with her team of volunteers, and Myrna and Linda have been volunteering here for a while. And they, you know what? They are going to be doing a ball toss here.
Okay.
I actually need Linda and Myrna to turn around. There we go, perfect. And this ball toss is not only for hand-eye coordination, but also it works her core in a totally different way. So riding backwards, her balance is very, very different than it normally is.
Actually, that looks like a lot
of fun.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I was going to say as well. You know, for a lot of, whether it's veterans or some of our children that come here have chronic or terminal illnesses, they've been in hospital or clinical settings for years, and they don't want to do that again. You know, they don't like that so much. And coming out to LifeStriders, our therapeutic treatment plans are finely tuned, but for them, it feels like games. It feels like just fun, and getting a chance to go out into nature, you know, is so important for them. So here again, she has to plan and work with her volunteers to get herself back around on the horse. And right now, she's going to be doing a sequencing exercise with hoops. And what we do in these exercises is really to cross the midline. So she has to remember a pattern, so probably the green hoops are going to go towards Myrna, and the orange hoops might come towards Linda, and she has to cross her midline and remember which is which. So there might be color identification that we're doing here, in addition to sequencing and the movement.
So the mind and the arms are really one. It's one movement.
And a lot of what we're doing with these exercises is a lot of people with either an acquired disability or a developmental disability, they stay in their same quadrant. So they rarely twist and cross their own midline, whether it's this way or even towards the back. So most of our exercises are really geared towards getting their body into these different positions.
And in still doing that, are you actually stretching your cognitive ability?
What it's doing, it's creating new muscle memory, and that enhances neurological development across both hemispheres of the brain. And that's really what we're hoping to do, is just to keep stimulating the brain and rewiring the brain in a way that is meaningful for our clients. So here again, she's doing this sequencing. So this is actually a pre-reading skill. So we give her a rhythm. So she has to tap twice behind and follow the visual cues or the auditory cues and remember that pattern as she's crossing the midline and going into these different quadrants.
Yeah.
So you can see these, over time, these exercises will build. And oftentimes we're actually integrating reading. We find out I will sometimes go to the kids' IEPs at school and work with their teachers to find out what do we need to be teaching them in the arena. Oftentimes we're doing math, geography, reading, whatever it is that's meaningful and purposeful for them.
Oh, it'd be so cool to do your homework on horseback.
It
I love
would.
it.
The homework might come back a little stained or dirty, but I'm sure they would really enjoy a homework session on a horse. So this is just a little example of what we normally do, but again, it's just so fun. You can see the smiles on their faces. Myrna and Linda, our sidewalkers, are out here every day. They work with the horses. They're walking a ton, and that's one of the things I was going to also mention, going back to Dave, is just for some of our older adults how empowering it is to be out and really using their bodies for purposeful work, and
Sure.
they're getting such a great workout in the process. So here she's showing how she's hugging her horse, and this not only increases the flexibility in the back, but it also gives them a huge connection with their horse. It's just so beautiful to watch.
And it looks like the horse loves it.
And when you were talking to Heather about relaxation and
Yes.
it's those moments, when you are moving with an animal so close and really partnering with them in such a way, it's such a powerful
You're getting
moment.
a little emotional when you say that.
I do.
You love what you do.
I love this. Yeah.
The horses really give back, don't they? Unselfish.
It's incredible.
Unselfish. Yeah. Very special. And sometimes when stuff like that's happening, you just let it
Look
let
at
it
these
go.
high fives. I mean, so
Yeah.
again, crossing the midline exercises, you can see the relationship building. A volunteer experience that is so hands-on, so physical, and so meaningful, to one person every week. It's just a very experiential.
Hey, folks, didn't they do a great job? I mean, really. You guys are doing a great job. I'd love to get you involved in your questions, but let me just ask you now, how does someone get involved with your therapy program? Is it covered by insurance? If someone, if not, if it's kind of tough to do, is there a way that folks can still get involved? Help me understand that.
So people always ask me how
Yeah.
they can get involved and how they can help. And LifeStriders is a charity organization. We're a 501c3, so we definitely depend on the amazing
Absolutely.
donations and contributions from the community. That's what keeps our program going. Most insurance does not cover
Okay.
some forms of therapeutic riding. Some of it, or some hippotherapy, for example, when they're working one-on-one with an occupational therapist or a physical therapist or a speech and language pathologist, some of that may be covered. But we offset the cost and subsidize the cost of a therapeutic riding session for every client that comes through here. Our veterans ride absolutely free. We have a free at-risk youth program here. But other families who do want to get involved, they will all have part of their
Underwritten to some degree.
Yeah, it's
But
subsidized.
one should,
yeah.
it's one who is thinking, boy, this might be able to help me. One should really open up to his or her doctor and say, hey, and insurer, and just investigate and pursue it, see if maybe they can get some assistance, huh?
We get so many referrals from different hospitals, Children's Hospital, behavioral health centers, because we know this works. There's no doubt that this works. Anecdotally, we see it happen. I mean, you just heard some stories, but it's amazing, the results that we see. And I think families are really empowered when they are trying on their own to find ways to help their loved ones. So we want to make that happen for them. And obviously, we need your support to do that. So.
And we'd love to get your questions. Yes, we have a question first of all. Allison.
Hi. First of all, thank you. You guys are just wonderful. You've told such an excellent story. I know there's so much more that you can share. You talked about, thank you, Mark, for asking about insurance. What about, can the average person come here that wants to just get some additional exercise or therapy in a non-traditional way? So, for example, someone who's had a knee replacement or hip replacement, can they come here and get this kind of service, or is this not appropriate for them?
We will assess each case on a case-by-case basis to see if this would be the best therapeutic approach for them. But yeah, absolutely. We've had a number of clients who've had different types of surgeries, and this is part of their rehabilitation treatment approach, basically. So they can integrate this into maybe we call it an adjunct therapy, so they may be doing something else in addition to therapeutic riding. But we're really focusing on whatever their treatment goals are outside of LifeStriders. We want to enhance that and take it to another, to basically work on the same treatment goals for them.
Yes, we have another question? I know we have another question. All of a sudden, people get so shy. Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Hi, thanks for the show. I was wondering what the expertise of the instructors are in terms of, and the sidewalkers, in terms of the horse knowledge as well as the therapy knowledge.
So that's a wonderful question. Like I said, people can come from different backgrounds, different therapeutic backgrounds. A lot of people that tend to get into the field of therapeutic riding have a background in psychology or physical therapy or something related to the medical field or special education, for example. So at LifeStriders, we require that every instructor gets a PATH certification on top of whatever degree that they have. And then in addition to that, we put them through our own training, which is quite enhanced and more tailored to the different types of clients that we see here. We're one of the few therapeutic riding program that has an equine facilitated mental health program. So we are constantly weaving a lot of mental health practices into our therapeutic riding sessions. In terms of what our volunteers can expect, many volunteers come here with no horse background at all. We are very fortunate to have Pirelli training for all of our volunteers. It's free, and it teaches them how to work and do what's a form of natural horsemanship to really understand the horse, and we offer these workshops free of charge. We put our volunteers through extensive training. They have to go through a series of one-on-one shadowing and then all kinds of, emergency dismounts and that kind of.
Yeah, David, you were telling me when you first signed up as a volunteer, you were doing a lot of shadowing.
It takes a while for you to be comfortable even with a horse, because I'm not a horse person, and it took a while before I felt comfortable around the horse. And again, you have to watch people who have had experience doing it for a number of years, many of them, and that's how you learn. And the more you do it, it's like anything else. I feel a lot more confident now with the horse, with what's going to happen here during the sessions, the lessons, and the other volunteers than I did when I first started. So it's something you have to work at too.
And I would assume that every sidewalker brings his or her own personality to the job.
Absolutely, right.
So you're going to get a different ride with a different walker.
And,
right.
And a lot of it is also really understanding the needs of the rider. We work with a lot of children who are on the autism spectrum, and children with autism can look very differently. And so it takes time to really understand what the needs of each rider is. And we really try, and that's what I was saying before, we're so relationship-based here, because when we match our volunteers with our riders, we need them to understand those small little cues that, many of our clients can't talk. And so it's the sidewalkers that may pick up on the fact that they've had enough, or they need to get off, or we need to modify something that we're doing if they're uncomfortable. So it really is such a relationship model that we're using.
You have some young clients who cannot communicate, and yet they're able to open up and enjoy the ride and unfold, so to speak.
Every year we have a client who's nonverbal, who says their first words while they're walking on the horse.
Usually what is the word?
Cody. It's the name of one of our horses, or it's something related to the horses. And it's unfortunate. I'm always hoping it's going to be mommy or daddy or something like that, but it's usually the name of the horse. And it's a very powerful moment, or we've had a client who was nonverbal, but while riding, we discovered that he was spelling. He could spell what he was trying to communicate, and that happened while he was riding. It was a magical moment for his family to see that.
With that in your research book, Doc, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
That is powerful stuff. We have another question. Yes. Yes, sir.
I would just like to thank Veronica and the staff, volunteers out here at LifeStriders. As the future spouse of Heather, I know that when she came back from the Navy, like she had stated, she was very not open to anybody. She was very non-trustful to anybody, and it was very hard to get her to trust anybody. And as being an emergency worker of 15 years, it was very hard to accept that from Heather. And I'll never forget the day that Heather came out here to LifeStriders, and she came home and said she was going horseback riding. And I said, horseback riding, how can that help anybody? I was very confused by it. And ever since she came out here, she's been a completely different person. Monday through Thursday, I'll have to ask her, how was your day at work? But on Friday, when she comes home from horseback riding, she has a story to tell every single week. So I would just like to thank all the staff and all the volunteers out here for your time and your service. Thank you.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. I'm so happy. That's terrific. That's terrific. Okay, who else has a question? Yes, ma'am. Lady in the pink blouse? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi. Wonderful job. This is just...
Isn't this great?
It's wonderful, wonderful seeing it. We've heard about the extensive training that the volunteers go through. What about the horses? How many horses and what kind of training do the horses have? Where do you get the horses and what do they have to go through to learn what they need to do?
So finding a great therapy horse, there are plenty of wonderful horses out there, but to be able to do this kind of work, it takes a special, special horse. And we go out when people want to donate their horse or have their horse participate at LifeStriders because they feel that they would be a good fit for us. They have us come out to their facility and we start working with the horse, you know, in their back, basically where the horse is comfortable to see if they might be a good fit for it, for what we're doing. And we put them through a number of different exercises to see if they can tolerate the stress levels that might come up in a therapeutic riding lesson. Right. So we do that a couple of times, and when they have met certain requirements, we will go back and invite them to come and join our team. We put them through a 90-day trial period while they're here, and they're going through extensive training, working in the arena, outdoors, and the different areas that we're exposing them to. And then usually, if they're a good fit, we'll keep them on board. And we have about 15 therapy horses right now, and we're going to be growing our program. We might be expanding into Milwaukee soon, so we're very, very excited about that, being able to take this. I mean, we have about 40% of our clients now that are coming from Milwaukee or from the city, so we are hoping to get closer to the city in the next few years.
Excellent. So it's looking very promising. And you have a question, ma'am. Yes.
That was my question, Veronica. What are your plans and your hopes for the future in expanding LifeStriders?
So I have, originally I started working with at-risk youth, and my first exposure to therapeutic riding was with at-risk youth in inner city Los Angeles, working as a school psychologist. And my dream was really to make this accessible for more kids in the inner city, and to really give them an opportunity to have something that's so different than what they know, and just to be able to challenge them in a different way. And so that, I hope, is going to be our next, where LifeStriders is going to be going. And so long as we have the community support behind us, I really think we can make it happen.
That's great. Dave, you were going to add something.
I was?
I mean,
I'm just nodding my head because I agree with everything she's saying.
That's why I was inferring that. I mean, as a volunteer, you like it when Veronica's got this kind of vision. You want to see it. Yeah, because there's far-reaching, huh?
Right. I see maybe a couple of kids, and think of the ones that we aren't seeing, and so the possibilities are endless. I mean, but you have to have the people, you have to have the horses, you have to have the people to take care of the horses, Jesus. And that's all part of the program, and and you have to have the money coming in to the nonprofit to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
All those things.
Yes, we have another question. Yes, Allison.
Veronica, I wonder if you can share with when people hear these programs, they want to know how can they help you with the program, with the expansion. You had talked at one time, we talked about a roof that needs repair, stalls that could use a little help as well. What are some things that people can do to help LifeStriders?
So there's so many ways that people can get involved. Obviously, we always need volunteers. For every person that rides at LifeStriders, we have to have 3 volunteers. And you can go onto our website and download a volunteer application. Another thing is participating as a donor, coming out and to learn more about what we're doing and being able to contribute and really seeing where donations are going. We have a big event coming up October 12th. It's a trail family run walk, and you can bring your dogs too. There's even a wave for people to walk their dogs around our beautiful campus. So
I hope Smoochie didn't hear that. He'll be waiting for me at the door.
So we really want to encourage people to come to that event. That's our fundraiser this year. And, you know, there's just plenty of different opportunities. There's different talents that people can bring to LifeStriders, whether it's, you know, helping in the office or being a sidewalker or, you know, whatever it is that you feel your talent is, we could put your efforts to good use here. So there's a lot to be done.
And just basic things like hay for the horses and basic ways that people could help. I mean, that
exactly.
In-kind contributions at this stage of your development of your organization, the door is open, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You have been a marvelous host. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
I've really enjoyed myself. I hope you have too. And you make us happy seeing you so happy, Heather.
Yeah.
And your fiance is so proud of you. And your son is so proud of you. You're doing great stuff, and you're helping other folks now.
Yes, I am.
It's all about passing it on, right? Whether you're in service or in civilian life.
Yes.
Dave.
Then there was Dave.
And then there was Dave. And you seem as happy now as you were in your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been great being here and sharing this marvelous story with you. Hope you join us for our next community conversation. Next Avenue's next topic involves the challenge and the rewards for us baby boomers, managing our money, or at least trying to, and managing our financial security. We hope you join us then. For all of us here at MPTV, thanks for joining us here at Waukesha. Have a great evening. We will see you next time.